Rian stood on the edge of the galactic station's docking bay. His hands were in his pockets, and his eyes followed the strange lights moving across the ceiling. This was his first time outside Earth, and everything felt too big, too shiny, too alien. Thousands of travelers moved around him, tall ones, short ones, some with wings, some with tails. Some floated instead of walking. The air smelled like metal and flowers. Voices in many languages filled the station, all blending into one endless noise. Rian didn't belong here. He was just a student from a small Earth colony. When Earth joined the Galactic Union, they needed volunteers to help understand alien cultures. Rian had signed up without really thinking. He thought it would be simple. Attend some meetings, take some notes, learn a few things. But nothing had been simple since he arrived. He kept to himself, sat at the back of training halls, and rarely spoke. No one here knew him. That was fine. He liked it that way. Then he heard it, Rian. It was soft, calm, like the voice already knew him. He turned around. A girl stood in the middle of the crowd. She wasn't human. Her skin was rich teal blue. Her eyes were large, clear, and calm like still water. Her hair flowed gently as if touched by a breeze, though there was no wind in the station. She walked toward him without rushing. "You're Rian," she said. He blinked. "Yes." "How do you know my name?" The girl tilted her head slightly. "Because it is time." That made no sense. Rian looked around. No one seemed to notice them. The crowd moved like a river, never stopping. But around her, the space felt quiet, like the noise stayed away. "I think you're mistaking me for someone else," Rian said. She shook her head. "No, you are exactly who I came for." She turned and started walking, not waiting, not asking, just expecting him to follow. Rian stayed still for a moment. He should have ignored her, walked the other way, reported her to station security. Instead, he followed. She led him through side halls and quiet corridors, places most visitors never saw. The walls were older here, not polished like the rest of the station. Pipes ran along the ceiling. Lights flickered. "Where are we going?" he asked. "You'll see," she replied, every time he tried to speak again. She answered before he could finish his sentence. She already knew what he was going to say. They reached a large door. It was black, with a red warning sign across it. "Level red in nitrogen monoxide." Entrarian stopped. "We can't go in there." She placed her hand on the scanner. The red light turned green. The door opened with a quiet hiss. She looked back at him. "You're safe with me." He hesitated, then stepped through the door. Inside was darkness at first. Then soft lights turned on, revealing a wide chamber with smooth metal walls and glowing blue lines running across the floor. Strange machines stood along the sides. In the center was a round platform with a single chair. The chair was made for a human. "What is this place?" Rian asked. "This is the first thread room," she said. He looked at her. "Thread?" She walked to the platform and touched the side. A star map appeared above them, hanging in the air. It showed galaxies, stars, and planets. Some glowed bright, others were fading. Rian pointed to one blinking red. "That's Earth," he said. She nodded. "Yes, and soon it will be seen." "By who?" She looked at him for a long moment. "By those who forgot how to wait." Rian stepped back. "This doesn't make sense." She raised her hand. The star map zoomed out. Lines spread from Earth in all directions. Some were golden, others were broken. One was black, leading into darkness. "You were born in the last thread," she said. "The one that never should have been touched. But now it has, so you were called." He frowned. "You're not making sense." "You're not supposed to understand yet," she said. "You were supposed to have time. But time is changing." She turned to him again. "I knew your name before you spoke because I have seen your steps. You are the threadbearer." Rian stepped away from the map. "I'm just a student. I'm no one important." "You are not just a student. You are the anchor." The room suddenly felt colder. The lights dimmed for a moment. The star map flickered. A low hum filled the air. Rian looked up. The red light on Earth was now pulsing faster. "What's happening?" he asked. "They found us," she said quietly. He stepped forward. Who? But before she could answer, the floor shook slightly, and the door behind them locked with a loud click. The girl looked at him. Her voice was soft but firm. It's time. Rian stood frozen beside the glowing star map. The red light above Earth pulsed again, brighter this time. He looked at the teal-blue girl standing in front of him. Her face was calm, but her eyes held something heavy, something deep. You need to tell me what's going on, Rian said. I already told you. You are the threadbearer, she replied. He shook his head. I don't know what that means. She walked over to one of the machines. Her long fingers moved across the screen with ease. The map above them shifted. It zoomed out, showing many galaxies. Most were connected by golden lines, like threads of light. But one area where Earth was had fewer lines, and one dark thread ran through it. Straight and cold dot, she pointed at it. This thread should not exist. It is yours. Rian stepped closer. Are you saying my life is wrong? No, she said. It is not wrong. It is rare. She touched another part of the map. A scene appeared above them. Rian saw a fleet of dark ships moving between stars. Their hulls looked like stone. No lights, no signals, just silence and speed. These are the forgotten, she said. They come from beyond time. They search for something they lost long ago. What are they looking for? She looked at him. You. Rian's heart began to beat faster. But why me? I've never met them. I'm not even trained. I just study history. The girl walked back to the chair in the center. She sat down and closed her eyes. A soft glow came from the floor under her feet. When timelines are broken, she said, they leave a scar. You were born in one of those scars. Rian didn't understand it all, but something inside him told him it was true. She opened her eyes. My name is Nara, she said. I was sent to find the one who carries the final thread. That thread is you? He looked around the room again. The machines, the star maps, the sealed doors. This place was hidden deep under the station. No one spoke of it. No one even knew it existed. Why is this place here? He asked. Nara stood. Long ago, some from the Galactic Union discovered that time was not one straight path. It was many. They built rooms like this to watch the threads. She walked to a panel and touched it. A side wall opened, revealing a hallway. They closed the thread rooms when the dangers became too great, but this one stayed open, waiting. Waiting for me? Rian asked. Yes. He followed her into the hallway. The walls here were darker. Old markings covered the surface. In languages Rian didn't know. The air felt heavy. I've never heard of the Forgotten, he said. You wouldn't. The Union erased all records. The Forgotten destroy not with fire or war. They erase what should be. They take memory, time, and meaning. They reached a second chamber. Inside was a tall device, like a tower made of mirrors and light. It hummed softly. This is the thread. Marker, Nara said. It holds the last signal your thread left behind. She placed her hand on it. The mirrors turned. A beam of light shot upward, and a voice echoed in the room. It was Rian's voice. He heard himself say, if you're hearing this, it means. I tried again, and maybe this time, I'll get it right. He stepped back. That's not possible. I've never said that. Nara turned to him. You will. Or you already did. In another thread. He looked at the mirrors. His face reflected. Many times, each one slightly different. I don't understand any of this, he said. You don't need to understand yet. You only need to survive. Suddenly, the ground trembled. The tower flashed red. A sharp alarm echoed through the chamber. They found the signal, Nara said. We must move. She grabbed his hand. Her touch was cold but steady. Where are we going now? To the surface. The commanders will want answers. But they don't even know I'm down here. They will soon. They ran back through the hallway, past the map room, and reached the first door. It was still locked, but Nora pressed a hidden panel. The door slid open as they stepped out. They heard voices above. Loud, urgent. They climbed a narrow stairwell and reached a side exit of the main station floor. From a distance, Rian saw officers rushing around. Alarms blinked on control panels. A voice echoed through the station. All security units to Dock 4. Unknown signal detected. Possible breach. Nara pulled Rion into the shadows. They'll think the Forgotten are attacking, she said. Are they? Not yet. But the signal was a sign. It means they are near. She turned to him. You have a choice now. Stay here, and they'll hide you. Or come with me, and we find out why your thread still survives. Rion looked out at the chaos. He thought about his quiet life on Earth. His books. His small apartment. None of it felt real anymore. He turned to Nara. I'll come with you. She smiled for the first time. Good. Then the next part begins. Rion followed Nara through the back passages of the Galactic Station. Her steps were light and quick, but she didn't run. She moved like she had walked these paths many times. The walls here were silent, far from the alarms and shouting above. Where are we going? Rion asked. To a place where watchers meet, she said. They study the threads in secret. They might help us. Rion said nothing more. His thoughts were spinning. Just 2 days ago, he had been an ordinary student learning alien languages. Now he was hearing words like threadbare and forgotten, seeing star maps that moved with his touch, and following a girl who seemed to know him before he spoke. After a short walk, they reached a small metal door. Nara placed her hand on a panel beside it. The door slid open, revealing a quiet room. The walls were filled with screens and maps. Only one person sat inside, a man with gray hair and tired eyes. He wore a simple dark coat and sat in front of a glowing console. He looked up as they entered. Nara. He said, You weren't supposed to return yet. The signal was triggered, she said. It started. The man's eyes moved to Rion. He stood slowly. So this is him. Rion felt uneasy. Who are you? The man gave a small nod. My name is Bren. I used to be a time thread observer. Now I help hide people like you. People like me, Rion asked. Rare ones. The ones born in threads that should not exist. The ones the Forgotten search for. Rion stepped forward. Why are they looking for me? Bren walked to one of the screens and tapped a few keys. A small image appeared. It showed a dark star system, cold and empty. But in the center floated a massive ship. Its surface looked like cracked stone. No lights. No markings. This ship appeared an hour ago. Brent said. No signal. No identity. But it matches the shape from old reports. We believe it belongs to the Forgotten. Rion stared at it. The ship didn't look like anything made by humans or even other alien races. It looked ancient. They came this far just to find me? He asked. Bren nodded. They follow the thread signal. Every time you speak your true name or touch the map, the signal grows stronger. They find your presence because you carry a broken thread. Rion turned to Nara. What happens if they catch me? They don't kill, she said. They erase. You would vanish, along with every moment you touched, as if you never existed. Rion took a step back. But we have time, Brent said. They haven't reached the station yet. We can move you off-world. No, Nara said quickly. He must stay. There is something he still needs to see. Bren frowned. If we keep him here, we risk everything. Nara's voice was calm. This thread still has a choice. Before anyone could speak again, an alarm flashed on the console. Bren moved quickly and opened the signal feed. A voice played over the speakers. It was flat and cold. We have come for the one who does not belong. Return the threadbearer. The voice repeated in hundreds of languages. Rion stared at the screen. His legs felt weak. That voice, it knows who I am. They always know, Nara said. We need to evacuate, Brent said. Now. But Nara shook her head. Not yet. We must go to the crystal room. That's where the truth waits. Bren looked like he wanted to argue, but he didn't. He opened a drawer and handed Rion a silver band. Put this on your wrist. It will mask your thread for a short time. Rion slipped it on. It felt warm at first, then cold. The humming in his head, which he hadn't noticed until now, faded. They left the room and moved deeper into the hidden levels of the station. As they walked, Rion noticed carvings on the walls, circles, stars, broken lines. These halls are old, Brent said, built before the Galactic Union. some say by the first watchers. They reached a round door with no panel. Nara placed both her hands on the surface. The door slid open slowly. Inside was a small room with a single pillar in the center. On top of the pillar floated a crystal sphere, glowing softly. Nara stepped aside and let Rian walk forward. "Touch it," she said. "It will show you why your thread still burns." Rian hesitated, then reached out. His fingers touched the surface of the sphere. Everything changed. He was no longer in the room. He stood in space, watching stars move backward. Planets spun in reverse. Time flowed like a river in the wrong direction. He saw himself in another life, older, wearing armor, leading a ship into battle. Then another vision, he was a scientist, building a machine that opened timelines. In yet another, he was a farmer, standing on a quiet world, watching a strange ship land. Every version of himself ended the same way, with light fading and the thread breaking. He pulled his hand back. His chest rose and fell fast. "I've done this before," he said. "In other timelines. I've tried to stop them." "Yes," Nara said. "But this is the first thread where you've been found before they reach Earth." Rian looked at the crystal. "What am I supposed to do?" "Remember," she said. "The path is not straight, but if you remember who you are, you can shape it." The alarm sounded again. Bren checked his communicator. "They're docking now," he said. "We must leave." Nara turned to Rian. "There's one more thing you must see." "But it's not here." "Then where?" Rian asked. "Far from this station, in the place where the thread first broke." She looked at Bren. "We need a ship." Rian stood beside Nara, still shaken by the visions the crystal had shown him. So many versions of himself, so many endings. In every thread, something went wrong. Now, he had a chance to make things different, but he didn't know how. "They're already docking," Bren said, checking his screen again. "We have less than 5 minutes before they reach this level." Nara turned to him. "You said there's a hidden hangar. Is it still working?" "It hasn't been used in years," Bren replied. "But it's the only way out without crossing the main gates." "Then take us there," Nara said. Rian followed them through another passage. The lights flickered. Overhead, the station shook slightly under their feet, like something heavy had landed on it. Rian could hear distant shouting and orders over the station's loudspeakers. As they walked, Rian saw more signs of age in the wall's rusted panels. Old warning signs and pieces of technology that no longer worked. This part of the station was forgotten, just like the threat that now hunted him. Bren finally stopped in front of a wide metal door. It had no markings. He pulled out a small tool, opened a side panel, and began rewiring the lock. "Just a moment," he said, his hands moving fast. While Bren worked, Nara looked at Rian. "You're doing better than I expected," she said. "I don't feel like I am," he replied. "I still don't understand what I'm supposed to do." "You will. The thread leads forward, even if you can't see the end." The door clicked and slid open. Cold air rushed in. The hidden hangar was dark at first, then soft lights came on, one by one, revealing a small silver ship in the center. Its shape was smooth, like a leaf resting on water. No weapons, no markings. Rian stepped closer. The ship's door opened on its own. "It recognizes you," Nara said. Bren handed Rian a small pack. Food, data, and a map of nearby systems. "It's not much, but it should help." Rian took it with a nod. "Thank you." Bren looked at him. "I don't know what's waiting out there, but if you survive, remember what you saw in the crystal. Don't let fear decide your path." A loud alarm echoed through the hangar. "Warning. Unknown entities have entered the command floor. All security units respond. They're getting close." Nara said, "We need to go now." She stepped into the ship. Rian followed. The door closed behind them, sealing with a soft sound. The inside was simple: 2 seats, a small control panel, and a curved window showing the stars above. Nara sat at the front and placed her hand on the controls. The ship hummed to life. Light filled the screen, and the hangar doors began to open outside. Stars stretched across the black sky. But as the ship rose into the air, something else came into view: a large dark vessel approaching the station. Its surface was rough, like old stone. No lights, no sound. Rian stared at it, the forgotten. He whispered. The ship moved like it was gliding, not flying, silent, slow, terrifying. Nara pushed the controls. Their ship shot forward, leaving the hangar behind. The doors closed just as a loud crash shook the station. They've entered, Nara said. We left just in time. Rian looked back, watching the station grow smaller. Will Bren be safe? He's done this before, she said. He knows how to vanish. The stars around them began to stretch as the ship entered faster travel. The screen showed a map with glowing paths. Nara touched one of them. We're going to a place called Elos 5, she said. It's where your thread first broke. Rian leaned back in his seat. His heart was still racing. He had left everything behind in just a few hours. Earth, his life, everything he thought he knew. Will the Forgotten follow us? He asked. They always follow, Nara said. But now the path is harder for them. Your signal is weaker. Because of the band on your wrist. Rian looked at the silver band. It was simple, smooth, and cold to the touch. Why me? He asked. Out of all the people in the galaxy, why did the thread choose me? Nara was quiet for a moment. Because you never gave up. In every version, you tried. Even when you failed, you kept trying. That is rare. Rian looked at her. How do? You know all this? I've seen the threads, she said. I was trained from birth to find you. The ship moved smoothly through the stars. Rian stared out the window, thinking of all the lives he had seen in the vision. So many paths. So many endings. Is it true that if they catch me, I'll disappear? He asked. Yes, Nara replied. Not just your body, your story, your voice, your actions, all of it, as if you were never born. Rian was silent. Then he said, That's not going to happen. Nara looked at him. Her face was calm, but her eyes held something like hope. No, she said. It won't, not this time. The ship continued through the dark sky. Far behind them, the forgotten ship remained still, watching the stars, waiting for a sign. But Rian was no longer running. Without reason, he was going towards something that had waited for him for a very long time. The stars outside the ship looked peaceful, but Rian knew better now. Peace could be an illusion. Somewhere behind them, the forgotten still searched. Somewhere ahead, a hidden truth waited. Nara guided the ship quietly. Her eyes stayed on the glowing map, her hand resting on the control panel. She hadn't spoken in a while, but Rian didn't mind. His mind was full of questions. Finally, he broke the silence. What is Elos 5? Nara replied without turning. A planet near the edge of a broken star system. Long ago, it was home to the first thread experiment. That's where everything began. Rian leaned forward. My thread, yes, your first version was created there. Not born by chance, but by purpose. He blinked. Created. What do you mean? She looked at him now. You were not meant to exist in the natural flow. Your presence began as a test. A being shaped to hold memories from many timelines. But something happened. The test broke. And you kept living. Rian sat back slowly. So I'm not real. You are real, she said softly. More than most, because you were not given a simple start. You carried weight from the first moment. Rian thought about the visions he had seen. Different lives, different deaths. Each version of him had tried something. Some had failed. Some had almost succeeded. But all had ended before victory. Then why am I still alive? He asked. Because this is the only timeline where you are not alone. Nara's voice was gentle, but her words were strong. In all the other threads, you were sent alone. You made your choice in silence. This is the first thread where someone came to guide you. You? Yes, Rian didn't speak for a while. The silence in the ship was soft, not heavy. The hum of the engines felt calm. Ahead, the screen showed their path bending near a set of collapsed stars. Nara pointed. That is Elos 5. The planet looked small and cold. No cities, no lights, just rock and fog. But the closer they got, the more Rian felt something strange in his chest. A pull, like a string tied to his heart. They landed near a cracked mountain. The air outside was dry and still. Gray clouds hung above the cliffs. and strange shapes moved slowly across the sky. Like silent birds, Nara stepped out first, Ryun followed. The ground crunched under their feet. No life, no sound. This place feels forgotten, Ryun said. It is, Nara replied. But not empty. She led him toward a narrow cave at the base of the mountain. Inside, the walls glowed faintly, with old writing. Ryun couldn't read it, but he felt like he had seen it before. This writing, he said. It looks familiar. You saw it once, Nara said, in another version. They reached a round chamber deep inside. In the center stood a machine. It looked broken, covered in dust and cracks, but when Nara stepped near it, a small light turned on. This is the thread gate, she said. The place where your spark first entered the line. Ryun walked around it. The machine was shaped like a circle standing on its side. At the base, wires and metal arms reached toward the floor like frozen roots. This thing made me. It allowed your thread to form, Nara said, and it still remembers. She touched a panel. A screen appeared, showing a blurred figure Ryun, but older. His face was tired. His eyes looked straight at the camera. If this message is still here, the figure said, then I failed again. But maybe the next me will listen. Don't run. Don't fight alone. Find the one who knows your name. Trust her. The answer isn't power. It's memory. The message ended. Ryun stepped back. His voice. His face. That was me. Nara nodded. One version of you. The one who came closest before. He sent this message through the gate, hoping it would reach another thread. And it reached me, Ryun said. Yes. Because you are ready now. You still fear the forgotten. But fear no longer leads your steps. Ryun looked at the gate again. Can we use it? No, she said. It broke after that message. But it gave you what you needed. He took a slow breath. So what now? Nara walked toward a smaller door on the side of the chamber. There is one more vision left to see. Ryun followed her through the doorway. The new room was small and quiet. A single chair stood in the center, surrounded by floating mirrors. Sit, she said. He sat down. The mirrors lit up. Each showed a different version of himself. Soldier, teacher, explorer. He saw them all. Then something changed. One of the mirrors turned dark. A figure appeared inside a version of Ryun wearing black armor. His face was harder. His eyes empty. This is the version that broke the path, Nara said. Ryun stood up slowly. He looks like he gave up. He did, she said. He believed the only way to win was to erase everything. Did he succeed? No. He failed. But he survived. And he still walks in shadow. Ryun felt a chill. So he's still out there. Yes, Nara said. And you may have to face him. He looked into the mirror again. The armored version looked back with a cold stare. Then I'll be ready, Ryun said. Nara smiled. You are already more than they expected. Outside, the wind picked up. The sky darkened. Far in the distance, a shadow moved across the stars. The forgotten were coming again. But this time, Ryun wasn't just running. He had memories. He had a name, and he wasn't alone. Dark clouds moved over the rocky hills of Elos 5. The wind had grown stronger. Small bits of dust and ash floated in the air like falling snow. Ryun stood outside the old gate chamber, looking at the sky. They're coming, he said. Nara stepped beside him. Yes, the forgotten have followed your signal, even though we tried to hide it. Then we should run. She shook her head. Running won't stop them now. You've seen enough. The moment has come. Ryun looked down at his hands. They were shaking, not from cold, but from fear. Not just of the forgotten, but of what he had seen in the mirror, the other version of himself, the one in black armor, the one who had given up and tried to erase everything. What happens if I meet him? Ryun asked. You will, Nara said, and only one of you will move forward. They turned toward the path leading down the mountain. A figure was walking slowly up the hill. At first, Ryun thought it was just a shadow, but then he saw the armor, black, cold, heavy. It looked more like stone than metal. The figure stopped a few meters away. Ryun stared. It was like looking into a mirror twisted by pain and anger. The armored man removed his helmet. It was Rion's face, older, tired, scarred. His eyes had no light in them. I knew you would come here, the older version said. Rion stepped forward. You're the one who left the message at the gate. The older one nodded. Yes, I had hope back then. But it faded. Why did you try to erase the threads? Because nothing worked. Every time I tried to save Earth. The Forgotten found me. Every plan failed. Every ally fell. I decided the only way to win was to destroy the board. Nora stepped between. Them, you were wrong. The threads are not just lines. They are lives. He looked at her. You're the guide. I lost you in my time. I couldn't protect you. Her voice was quiet. Because you stopped believing. The older Rion turned. Back to the younger one. You can't change it. They will come, and they will keep coming. You will lose. Rion took a deep breath. Then I will lose trying to save, not trying to erase. For a moment, silence filled the mountain. Then the older Rion reached for a small device on his belt. A wave of energy pulsed out from it. The ground shook. You'll see I'm right, he said. Rion stepped back as the world around him twisted. The stars above blurred. The rocks under his feet shifted like liquid. Nora cried out and fell to her knees. What's happening? Rion shouted. He's forcing a time fold. She said, he's trying to pull you into a broken loop. The older Rion raised his hand. A sphere of dark light formed above his palm. This is what the Forgotten gave me, he said. Power to control memory. Power to break time. Rion clenched his fists. He didn't have weapons. He didn't have armor. But he had something else, his mind, his memory, his will. He ran forward and tackled the older version to the ground. The dark sphere flew from his hand and hit the ground, cracking the rocks. They struggled. The older Rion was stronger, but slower. His armor made him heavy. The younger Rion moved fast. He grabbed the device on the older one's belt and smashed it against a stone. A loud crack echoed. The time fold stopped. The stars became clear. Again, the older Rion pushed him back and stood up. You think breaking that changes anything? It changes everything, Rion said. You forgot who you were. I still remember. The armored Rion looked at him. Something changed in his face, a small flicker of doubt. You don't have to become this, Rion said. You still have a choice. The older one looked down. His hands trembled. I thought I had no other path. There's always another path, Nara said, walking slowly toward them. Her voice was soft but full of strength. A small figure ran toward them from behind the rocks. It was Elo, the small alien child who had followed Rion before. Elo. Rion said in surprise, You're here? I followed your ship, Elo said, smiling. You forgot to bring me. The older Rion stared at the child. His face softened. He fell to his knees. I remember him, the older Rion said. He died because of me. Elo walked forward and placed his small hand on the older Rion's chest. You don't have to be sad. The wind slowed. The sky became calm. The older Rion stood slowly and looked at Nara. I was lost. You can rest now, she said. He nodded. Then I will. The older Rion took a step back. His body began to fade, not in pain, but in peace, like a shadow leaving in the morning light. Then he was gone. Rion stood still. The air was quiet. Nara placed a hand on his shoulder. You faced yourself, and you chose the right path, Elo. Smiled. Does this mean we won? Rion looked at the stars. Not yet, but now we have a real chance. Far in the sky, the shape of the Forgotten ship still waited, but something had changed. It no longer moved forward. It stayed still, as if unsure. Nara spoke again. There's one more thread left, the final one. Rion turned to her. Then let's finish what we started. They stood together under the fading clouds. The mountain behind them held old memories. The stars above held new ones. And Rion, once afraid, now walked with purpose. The stars above Elo's 5 looked calm, but Rion knew the silence would not last. The Forgotten ship still hovered beyond the orbit of the planet. It was watching, waiting, testing. Nara stood beside him with her hand resting lightly on the glowing thread map. Lines of light stretched across the sky, showing the paths of time and memory. One final thread was pulsing brighter than the rest. "This is the last one," she said. "It leads to the heart of the Forgotten." Rian looked at the line. It was thin, trembling, as if ready to vanish at any moment. "Will it take us to their ship?" Nara nodded. "It will take us to the place where the threads were first broken. That's where they wait." Elo climbed up a small rock and raised his hand. "Then we should go now, before they break more worlds." Rian smiled and ruffled the child's hair. "You're brave, you know that?" "I'm small, not weak," Elo said. The gate chamber opened once more. The mirror door pulsed with soft light. Rian stepped forward and looked back at Nara and Elo. "Ready?" They both nodded. Rin took a breath and stepped through. In an instant, the world changed. He was no longer on Elos 5. He stood on a vast plain under a black sky. Towers of broken light floated in the air like glass ruins. The ground was smooth and cold. There was no wind, no sound. This was the thread grave. Nara appeared beside him, her expression calm. Elo stepped out next, blinking at the strange world. A tall figure stood in the distance. Its body was shaped like a cloak of shadows. Its face was hidden behind a mask of glass. Rian felt a pressure in his chest just looking at it. "That is the voice of the Forgotten," Nara whispered. The figure raised its hand. "You should not have come," it said. The voice was deep and distant, like it came from inside the earth. "We had to," Rian replied. "You've taken too much already." The figure moved forward, slowly, as if gliding over the ground. "You were given a choice. Now you bring a child and a guide into the grave." Rian stepped in front of Elo. "I bring hope." "That's something you forgot." The air shimmered. More shapes appeared, shadows of people, planets, cities. All were broken pieces of memories. Rian saw Earth among them, but it looked pale and weak. "They are not dead," Nara said. "Just trapped." Rian clenched his fists. "Then I'm here to free them." The voice of the Forgotten lifted both hands. Threads of black energy rose from the ground. They twisted like snakes, reaching for the glowing thread that pulsed beside Rian. Nara stepped forward. "Hold the thread. Use your memory. Focus on who you are." Rian closed his eyes and touched the light. Images flashed in his mind. His home on Earth. His parents' voices. The sound of rain on the roof. The first time he saw the stars. The moment he met Nara. Elo's laughter. The broken version of himself. Choosing peace. All of it spun together like a story being rewritten. The thread glowed brighter. The shadows screamed. The voice tried to strike, sending a wave of darkness at Rian. But Rian stood firm. The thread wrapped around his arm, shining like a golden rope. The darkness hit the light and shattered. The voice fell back. Elo ran forward and reached out with both hands. More threads lit up around him, small, bright, but full of power. "I remember too," he said. "I remember my family, my sky, my world." The threads began to rise, not just from Rian and Elo, but from the broken memories floating in the air. One by one, they started to shine. Nara raised her hands, and the thread map opened wide. It stretched across the black sky, full of color, full of light. The voice let out a long, hollow sound. "This cannot be," it said. "You were meant to forget." Rian stepped forward. "But we remembered." The black mask cracked. The shadow form trembled. "You were created to forget," the voice said again, weaker now. Rian looked at it and spoke clearly. "Maybe we were, but we chose to remember, and that's what makes us stronger." The ground began to shake. The towers of light crumbled. The sky cracked open, revealing stars behind the darkness. The threads connected. Earth glowed again. So did other worlds. The memory locks shattered. The weight that had pressed down on the galaxy started to lift. The forgotten ship above Elos 5 vanished, no longer anchored. The voice of the Forgotten fell to its knees. Rian stood over it, holding the last thread like a torch. "You wanted silence," he said. "But we are the voice now." The shadow figure dissolved, fading into the rising light. The plane disappeared. Rian, Nara, and Elo opened their eyes and found themselves back on Elos 5. The air was fresh. The sky was clear. The thread gate behind them faded slowly, Its purpose complete, El looked up at Rian. Is it over? Rian nodded. It's just beginning. Nara smiled. The threads are safe, but they will always need keepers. Rian looked out at the sky. For the first time, he didn't feel like a student or a lost traveler. He felt like someone who had walked through fear and come out stronger. He turned to Nara. What happens now? She looked at him with kind eyes. Now, we build again, and we help others remember. Ella raised his arms and maybe fly through more gates. Rian laughed. Maybe not right away. The three of them walked down the hill together. Behind them, the stars began to shine brighter. The story was no longer broken. The thread was whole. And Rian, who once stood alone, now walked with purpose, memory, and light.